Let's begin in the US, where President Donald Trump has accused South African President Cyril Ramaphosa of failing to address what he claims is a genocide of white farmers in South Africa. Ramaphosa appeared visibly uncomfortable when his US counterpart played videos of what he said was white persecution in South Africa during a meeting between the two leaders in the Oval Office. Ramaphosa thanked Trump for raising his concerns and conceded that there was criminality in his country, but insisted that people who do get killed aren't only white. Ramaphosa's visit comes just days after a group of white South African farmers were welcomed into the US as refugees. Let's take a listen to what the two had to say earlier.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The farmers are black. The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black.
Well, let's speak to France 24's Washington correspondent, Fraser Jackson, now. Fraser, great to have you with us. So it's another awkward Oval Office meeting. I mean, it feels like these Oval Office meetings just keep on getting more and more awkward.
Yeah, well, as you can see over my shoulder there, the car of Cyril Ramaphosa is still at the entrance to the West Wing. The pair was supposed to have a working lunch with their delegations and then the Oval Office, but that got changed last minute. That perhaps the first red flag that we should have taken note of, because what followed was very much in a similar vein to what we saw when President Zelensky of Ukraine came to the Oval Office. Once the pool was inside, they were made aware of the television screens that had been set up behind the South African delegation's heads. And then that perhaps the second red flag, because what ensued was a jovial meeting for the first 10 or 15 minutes or so. And then things descended with Donald Trump talking once again about what he perceives as a genocide of white Afrikaners in South Africa. And Cyril Ramaphosa pushed back, saying that he would wish that Donald Trump would listen to the voices of South Africans, at which point Donald Trump told his team to lower the lights and hit play on this video, which showed some leaders of the minority opposition parties in South Africa seemingly inciting violence against white farmers and white Afrikaners. Donald Trump used that video, the 4.5-minute video, to push forward his point. Now, Ramaphosa, while that video was ongoing, was visibly upset and uncomfortable, but it should be noted he did keep his cool. He stayed very calm. Of course, that history of negotiations with during the apartheid years very much coming to the fore here, because when the video was over, he said to Donald Trump that what he saw in the video was a small representation of a real minority in South Africa, and perhaps it was best summed up by his agricultural minister, who was also on hand. That gives you some clue as to how prepared for this the South Africans were. The South African minister spoke as well, saying that the coalition that the South African government had been building was to ensure that these kind of voices didn't get into power in the country. And Donald Trump pushed back a couple of times, but as the South African delegation continued and then came forward with personal testimonies from two pro-golfers, again trying to speak Donald Trump's language, and then with a leader of business from South Africa, once again speaking Donald Trump's language, Trump seemed to calm down a bit and did seem to start listening to the delegation a bit more. But that, though, likely to set the stage for a very awkward lunch, possibly a very frank lunch. But I'm told by the spokesperson for Cyril Ramaphosa personally that the South Africans came prepared for this, and they said that actually what happened in the Oval Office was just noise, but now they need to get down to the business of actually resetting this relationship between the two countries.
Now, of course, those discussions on those genocide claims dominated the meeting between the two leaders. Did they have anything else to say?
Well, Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to focus this relationship mainly on trade. That is what they came here with the idea of doing. And they, of course, know that Donald Trump speaks the language of trade, speaks the language of tariffs and money. And they were hoping to set that as the narrative. So that is really what they're going to be trying to getting things back on track with here. Now, I'm sure that of course, what happened in the Oval Office will be being discussed at that luncheon. But trade is what they are trying to focus on, and the relationship between the two countries. South Africa has the US as its second most important trading partner. There was about $20 billion worth of trade between the two countries last year, but just a quarter of that was from the direction of the US out to South Africa. So there is a bit of an imbalance, and of course Donald Trump is not one who likes trade imbalances. So the South Africans are coming forward with proposals to try to increase the amount of money that they can be doing business with the US over. And then of course there's a lot of things that the US depends on that also come from South Africa, mainly critical minerals. So they'll be trying to focus the conversation back onto that and away from the topic of the Afrikaners and Donald Trump's perceived genocide happening with the white farmers in South Africa. But of course, that is something that the South Africans are desperately trying to get back on track.
We'll see if they succeed in doing that. Fraser, thank you so much for that update. Fraser Jackson reporting live there from Washington.